This message is brought to you by Deadpool.
10 years into it, Phase 1 has exceeded our wildest expectations. You know, if you told me back then that one movie would spawn an expansive 2-movie universe, I'd have said that you were crazy. But here we are, with actual actors, a moderate special effects budget, and several low-level X-Men. None of the big ones, though. We gotta save something for Phase 2.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. We just got a whole bunch of Deadpool and Wolverine footage because of the CinemaCon panel that Marvel did. They showed off footage for a bunch of different movies. This video will just be for all the Deadpool and Wolverine footage. There were a whole bunch of Easter eggs, a whole bunch of cameo scenes, some surprise cameo scenes too, a lot of Disney jokes, a lot of Kevin Feige jokes, specifically about Kevin Feige, and a couple of real big surprises, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're supposed to get the next real big trailer in a couple weeks. Of course, I will do videos for whatever they wind up releasing. But the first clip that Kevin Feige showed off, dropping a bunch of F-bombs, like Kevin Feige himself was dropping F-bombs in the panel when he was introducing all the footage to prepare everyone for a very rated R Deadpool. And even if they wouldn't have said anything, the footage itself was super hardcore anyway.
Almost a quarter of a century ago, working with Hugh Jackman again as Wolverine. It is incredible. It is extremely exciting, and I hope you don't mind if I say it's awesome. It's awesome, and the reason I can say it's awesome is because it's an R-rated movie. It's an R-rated movie.
The first clip that they showed off started with Deadpool and Wolverine talking about Secret Wars. Deadpool starts by saying to Wolverine, "So I heard Secret Wars is finally going to introduce," and then he gets cut short by a ringing cell phone where they both start yelling at the screen, breaking the fourth wall about putting away people's cell phones. Wolverine pushes Deadpool out of frame, then breaks the fourth wall himself, scooting up closer to camera, shouting at the audience saying, "Hey bub, you're in a movie theater, turn off your effing phone." He keeps cursing at the audience as Deadpool pops back into frame, saying that hearing Wolverine break the fourth wall talking like that makes his dick vibrate. Then they basically showed off the first 9 minutes of the movie, like most of the first 9 minutes ending with a montage from all across the end of the movie. The footage starts with the Captain America Winter Soldier theme music playing inside the background as Deadpool grabs a staple gun and uses it to staple his wig to his head, which we see in the trailer. So I know a lot of questions here, like how is the Captain America music playing inside the Deadpool Fox universe? The movie starts out in the main X-Men universe where all the X-Men movies take place, the Fantastic Four movies. There'll be a couple references in a second that I'll talk about that'll throw you for a couple loops, like wait a minute, what's going on here? Deadpool getting crazy with the timelines, saying now let's sell some certified pre-owned vehicles, dropping his first of many F-bombs. There's a smash cut to him in the backseat of a car with the family on a test drive. They're asking him questions about the car, but he keeps swearing like a sailor casually in front of their young children and says that even though he'd love to have children himself someday, which is a callback to the end of Deadpool 2 because Vanessa was supposed to be pregnant and they were going to name their kid Cher because while he was using Cable's time travel device, the Cher song Turn Back Time was playing. Even though he says he wants to have kids someday, he tells the family that he hasn't been having a lot of vaginal sex recently, meaning he's mostly been doing butt stuff. It got a ton of laughs in the theater, but he ruins the sale, the family hates him, and then we see that Peter from Deadpool 2 also works at the car dealership with him. He tries to raise his spirits by saying that he might be a bad car salesman, but he was an amazing superhero, he can always go back to superheroing. Deadpool kind of bums, says that that's all over, it's done for good. It's meant to be a reference to Disney buying Fox, rendering all the Fox Marvel movies irrelevant because Kevin Feige's going to recast all the characters eventually, so like he doesn't feel needed as a superhero anymore, so he had to get a regular job. Deadpool tells Peter, saying this is the life that he wants, being this used car salesman, and if you aim for the middle, quote unquote, you'll never miss. While it wasn't in the footage that they showed, I firmly believe that that line about him having a midlife crisis, always aiming for the middle and never missing, will be how he defeats the main villain in the movie at some point. That's supposed to be Emma Corrin, who's playing Cassandra Nova from the comics. There was a big Cassandra Nova Easter egg recently during X-Men 97 episode 5 too. I'll post a link for my video for that down in the description below because it went hard. But early theory, by the end of the movie, there'll be some big final battle, he'll aim for the middle, quote unquote, and he won't miss. Then Peter shows Deadpool that he's been keeping Deadpool's old suit from the last 2 movies in his locker at work, which we see in the trailers. Like, there's a lot of trailer footage interspersed here because a lot of this is from the beginning of the movie. And if it wasn't clear, this is Peter keeping Deadpool's suit in his locker. It's not in Deadpool's locker. Zoom and enhance here. Notice there's a sticker for Knotts County in Peter's locker, which is actually a Wrexham AFC Easter egg because Ryan Reynolds owns the Wrexham Football Club in real life. Notts County have been one of their biggest rivals in the past, so Peter looks like he's rooting against Wrexham, like he's not a Wrexham fan. Deadpool and Peter ride bikes back to his apartment. He clocks someone taking pictures of them weirdly, and Peter then turns the conversation back to wanting to be superheroes again, because remember, Peter was actually on the X-Force team in the last movie. He asks Deadpool if he's sad just because it's his birthday, then casually drops that he got a piercing in an interesting place on his body. Early theory, just based on the tone of the jokes, is that's a Prince Albert that he got. If you don't know what a Prince Albert is, look that up on Google. You are in for some fun, like good luck with that. They reveal that Peter, along with all of his friends, are throwing him a surprise birthday party, which is what we saw in the trailers. That's the party they're having with the cake. It's pretty much the entire main cast from the previous 2 Deadpool movies, except for Cable. Deadpool goes around the room talking to each of them, cracking jokes back and forth. He makes his first real big Kevin Feige joke when he and Blind Al start talking about Blow. Blind Al starts rattling off a bunch of random names. Deadpool claims Kevin Feige knows all those people because he's so famous and powerful. She asks him if he wants to do some blow, and he says that's the one thing Feige said was off the table. 2 Kevin Feige jokes. She replies with a Frozen Disney reference saying, "Do you want to build a snowman?"
Do you want to build a snowman?
He replies yes, but he's not allowed to because Kevin Feige said no blow in the movie. Colossus says he's been thoroughly enjoying the Great British Bake Off. Deadpool says that show saved me from suicide. He and Vanessa start talking, and we learn that they broke up at some point after the events of Deadpool 2, and they haven't been together for a couple years. She's dating someone else from her work. He seems genuinely happy for her, even though he's currently single right now and seems super bummed out, like he's having a midlife crisis. It wasn't totally clear what happened to their baby Cher because she was supposed to be pregnant. Maybe she lost the baby, and that led to their breakup. Deadpool has his speech that you saw in the trailer about loving his very mediocre state of life that he's in right now, even though the past couple of years have been really tough. Peter says, "We're Deadpool," which is a joke about that line back from the Flash TV show that everybody was clowning on. We are the Flash. He blows out the candles, and then the TVA knocks on the door, but it actually goes on a little bit longer than the scene we saw in the trailers, like it's a much bigger scene. When he first walks out, he actually mistakes them for a bunch of male strippers that his friends hire. Like, "Oh, are you here for some fun butt stuff?" There's the Disney jokes, the pegging jokes, all that stuff we saw in the trailers. Then things pretty much play out like you saw in the trailers. They knock him out, arrest him, and take him through the portal to the TVA, where he wakes up in the interrogation room with Paradox. Most of you will probably recognize Matthew McFadden from Succession. That's just like the biggest, most recent thing that he's done. Couple big surprises here, though. He tells Deadpool they know, like the TVA knew, that he was messing with the timelines with Cable's time travel device, but that's not why they arrested him and brought him here. They actually brought him here because he's destined for a higher purpose for true greatness, one that even they, the TVA, don't fully understand, like he's blowing a lot of smoke up his butt. He tells Deadpool that he needs to save the sacred timeline from a grisly fate at some point in the future, but the TVA doesn't know all the details. It's a little sus, people are a little suspicious of what's going on here. The TVA is generally meant to feel that way. But it is meant to take place after the events of Loki Season 2 because you see the mural in the back depicting Loki's World Tree multiverse here. Then this is where they start making all the jokes about Marvel just in general, like all the Marvel movies, the MCU, Deadpool changing the MCU, all the Marvel Jesus stuff. 2 other TVA hunters that are there joke that the sacred timeline needs to be avenged because the sacred timeline technically doesn't exist anymore after the events of Loki, a reference to Iron Man's line in the first Avengers movie.
Maybe your army comes, and maybe it's too much for us, but it's all on you. Because if we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn well sure we'll avenge it.
The hunters continue joking that they're going to marvel, quote-unquote, at how cinematic this is going to be, making more MCU references. Deadpool calls out a bunch of movie tropes, breaking the fourth wall again, saying to Paradox that he wants to have all the cameos he can get, all the craziest variants, the works, if he's going to help them. They turn on all the screens with the footage from the different Marvel movies you see, but they start with the footage of Steve Rogers' Captain America during the events of Winter Soldier, and it turns out Deadpool knows who he is and salutes him, raising so many questions like, is there a version of Steve Rogers' Captain America in the X-Men universe? How does he know Steve Rogers' Captain America? My assumption without more context or more footage is it's just a joke, like a wink, at Chris Evans also being the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four movies, which would take place in the Fox X-Men universe. Paradox keeps blowing smoke up his butt, telling him he can be a hero now, then suddenly on one of the screens, Deadpool sees a totally new scene with Chris Hemsworth's Thor in a new cameo, cradling Deadpool's body as if he's died crying over him, confirming Chris Hemsworth cameo scene. Deadpool asks Paradox why Thor is crying over his body, and he says that something happens to Deadpool in the future. He wasn't supposed to see that, but he's kind of vague about exactly what goes down that causes him to become great friends with Thor and also causes him to die. My assumption now is that just a bit of a meta wink at Secret Wars, like everybody's coming for cameos, everybody will be crossing over with everybody else in Secret Wars. Also because Deadpool is technically coming to the MCU now because Disney owns Fox. Deadpool makes all the Marvel Jesus jokes, saying that he will help the TVA, then immediately breaks the fourth wall, turns the camera, grabs the camera, starts shaking the frame, so like the whole frame is shaking, saying, "Suck it, Fox, I'm going to Disneyland," and then starts humping the boom mic. Because he sort of breaks the bounds of his movie, it's probably one of the biggest fourth wall breaks that Deadpool has ever done. It's on par with She-Hulk breaking the fifth wall, pausing her show, then jumping out through the Disney Plus frame and going to the Marvel Studios lot, interacting with the writers of her show, and then the Kevin Feige AI robot. The big difference between fourth wall breaks and fifth wall breaks is when a character actually talks directly to the writers of a show, not just the audience. Then he comes back to the reality of the movie, and Deadpool tells Paradox there's one more thing that he needs and goes to the tailor for the big suit-up scene that we see in the trailer. They give him a much better upgraded suit, upgraded weapons, the new katanas, Bee and Arthur, and the new handguns. He leaves the tailor telling one of the nearby TVA agents that his katanas are adamantium now, like Wolverine's skeleton in his claws, and that the tailor is a sexual predator because he was grabbing him all over the place. That's also meant to be a bit of a Disney joke, like the white gloves, Mickey Mouse's white gloves grabbing Deadpool because they own all the Fox characters. Now they own Deadpool. One of the other TVA agents starts eyeballing him. He says that his suit is getting tighter just because he's getting way more horny, like he's starting to get a huge boner. To which the TVA agent starts picking up the phone, about to call the TVA HR department. I didn't know that they actually had an HR department in the TVA, but I guess they would. Then they cut to a montage of different scenes from all across the rest of the movie, most of the stuff that was in the last big trailer, but there were a couple new scenes. We get a new scene of Dogpool running in slow motion. This is what he looks like. Then there was a new scene of him and Wolverine sitting in this car together with Deadpool making fun of Wolverine's yellow suit from the comics, like making fun of the suit itself. He says, "What's with the suit? Did the X-Men make you wear that? You look like you're fighting crime for the Los Angeles Rams because of the yellow and blue colors," to which Wolverine tells him to shut the F up. Deadpool ends by saying that he's just trying to bond with Wolverine. That was the end of the footage, but there were a couple other details, a couple other funny things that Kevin Feige talked about during the panel. He said that there would be a really epically gross popcorn bucket that they asked Deadpool himself to make. So it's a bit of a fourth wall break there, but they're going to try and top the craziness of the Dune popcorn bucket with something even worse.
I love the popcorn buckets that are taking over the world. I really do. I love when a popcorn bucket can capture the zeitgeist and go viral.
But I guess they're going to sell it as if Deadpool himself would have created it. Everybody theorycraft in the comments what that's going to be like. What would Deadpool come up with if it was going to be a super gross, way worse than the Dune popcorn bucket? No idea which movie theaters they're going to sell it at, like AMC or some other movie theater chain. They're supposed to drop the next real big trailer with the new Planet of the Apes movie. Of course, I will do videos for whatever they wind up releasing. They also just released the first footage of Captain America 4 Brave New World, so I'll do a video for that next. That video should be up later tonight, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. In my X-Men 97 Episode 6 video, we'll post next week after they release it. Everybody click here for all my Deadpool and Wolverine videos, and click here for all my X-Men 97 episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and maximum effort.